Yo, 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 it's our Lifestyle Podcast, ODB, June 96, issue 54, Mini Truckin Magazine. I've been trying to tell you guys, 96 is off the hook. So many badass trucks. And when we jump into this issue, I do want to reinforce a couple things right here. So I pulled this up. This is an Instagram post. This truck, for those that did not know, was this version, and as K-Daddy had mentioned, it was a previous version as well. So this is the third version. The cool thing was, if you look back at this post, it ran Truckin 93 feature, boom. It ran Mini Truckin, which we're getting ready to look at, June 96. It also ran in Truckin though. So Truckin, obviously the sister publication, they would run even, with the perfect example here, the same month, because they did have different viewership, and it was just a way to expand. Obviously they had tons and tons and tons of content, but they would run mini trucks, right? So this, you can see here some of the information. Robin Cobb Ramirez originally owned built when it was first shot, and then Tommy purchased the truck, and the rest is history. But there's the epicness. So let's just jump back down to the bag. So we've been on a roll with these, and we appreciate everyone checking back with us. You could bump this up to 4K if you need to, take screenshots, or you want to read anything that's in these issues. Again, June 96. If you've been following us, I go by the number system. This is technically issue 54. If you go back to the early days, there was 1 in 88, 4 in 89. They were kind of quarterly. They go bi-monthly. And then as any successful magazine, we're going to jump right into, this episode. This issue, rather. Now, we can't state this enough. Obviously, Cow Concepts was an amazing team. They're still in business. K-Daddy, of course, works at his own business. That's been like that for years. We've had a Dion, K-Daddy, Craig, and Gumby. We've had all of those guys on, and we're super, super thankful for those guys coming on. So let's jump right in here. Again, 96 is pretty hard to beat in terms of a year. One of my favorite aspects is looking here at the table of contents. So you see another 10 features in this one, all right? So it is jam-packed. And I would remind you that you can look at the description of these videos, and I have every title and make and model of the trucks listed for every feature. And I'm going to do that through all 269 issues. Of course, we're on 54. From out of Bakersfield, Cali, comes this wicked Mazda mini creation owned by Tommy. I don't know how to pronounce the last name, so I'm not going to butcher it. B-Series truck, enhanced by Cow Concepts Air Syndicate. The lovely Terry Meadows added to the Fuji Chrome occasion, with shutter credits going to Courtney Halowell. Again, rest in peace. Insert photos come from this year's Cupid Run Lance and Nissan the 96 King Cab, Nissan North America. What's cool is, again, you see that they're giving credit, and they always do that. For the most part, they got to a point where they were giving credit to the models and things like that, all within that little write-up, and I think that's key. Now, you saw that I recently had mentioned, I think in the last flip through, where it talks about here who gets the credit. So we'll see if that stands. It actually is two folks that get the credit per the layout. So yeah, we're gonna check that out. So you have the editorial. And forgive me if you hear some of the little text stuff in the background. I'm linking up with a guest tonight, and I do put my phone on airplane mode, but of course that doesn't help when they're coming in through the Mac. I could put it on focus, but I was trying to link up and figure out if we're recording now or when he gets home. So Street clean and simple is the name of the game. And we saw a couple of 94 S10s recently. I have a 94 S10. I love these year trucks. Courtney, or was it Mike Self? It might have been Mike Self, once wrote about the 94 S10 was kind of the last of the old school because these trucks did not have a lot of creature comforts. They didn't have some of, you know, the extra stuff. And this is actually a 95. So just to clarify there, you do see 95. But the 94 S10 is very similar to this. And the 94s, you know, they didn't have some of the extra brake stuff and all that. So I love a 94 S10. I love even the 95s, the grill and stuff like that. I mean, they're just so kind of plain and iconic. My truck was the same as this. It had the factory roll pan. Believe it or not, some of the trucks had that. I don't know the history of it. If you do, let me know. I'm definitely curious. You know, I thought that in many states they were illegal. My truck came from Colorado. But the simplicity, right? So you've got the bumper. I had the same bumper on my truck. That valence is pretty rare, my understanding. Even back then it was. I think it was from the Bravado with the light cutouts. Here it has the tag on the front, which they probably had to have. But super, super clean. Man, I'd rock this truck every day. And, of course, it's got the, those, I believe, are aftermarket mirrors. Pretty certain those aren't factory. Mine had the most base model mirrors you could get. And I got rid of those things as quick as I could. I would have actually rather the Dumbo ears. Okay? If that rings a bell for you S10 guys. I would have rather have them than the mirrors I had. They were freaking ugly. I ended up going with the, what were they called? Street Scene? That brand, that company. So, enough of that S10 talk. Just bringing back memories as I'm looking through these. So, low life. Look at all the minis. Not only have the shirt colors changed, no longer do we don't wear white, and show shirts aren't really white, but also look at the trophies people used to win, and that's changed a lot. There you have the famous, keep me honest, Jody Hall built Ranger, the king of the Rangers, and some old school. Now, this truck right here was just at East Tennessee Showdown. Next week, I'm going to link up with LMC. He got a chance to talk with the gentleman, and I recently posted photos. Hashtag Mini Movement on social media posted this truck, and I reshared some of his photos. Epic truck. Crazy to think how much went into that thing, and it's still around. It literally looks as good as it did back in the day. Here is Keith's 94 Toyota. Dude, crazy lift, big tires, Bluefoot, and badass. Don't see a lot of these featured in here. Here you have, I have shared some of these old ads. I'll have to make note of this one. Here, a couple things. In the upcoming issue, I think it's an upcoming one because I was flipping through. She'll be a model on an upcoming issue. But you basically have May 19th, 1996. Last year was the 25th anniversary of this in 2021. And what you're looking at here is Truck Jamboree, the 4th annual. That was the spring. So I have to sometimes either one, be corrected, or sometimes go back and fix the hashtags because I get confused on these. The August show was the original one that I think started in 86. And then you have in 94, so 94, 95, 96, but 93. If this was the 4th annual, so 93, 94, 95, 96. So 93, the spring show, and that's an ad for it, all color. Macy Chevrolet was always on board as far as everything I can remember. Budweiser as well. Rest in peace, Al Martinez. The reason why I know his name is because you'll see his name in these ads. And I remember that's burnt into my memory. I don't know how. I never met Al. I know he passed away, and I always wanted to talk more about this show. I always remember Inter Shows, right? That was the promotion company, I guess, that he owned. Here we see the MIC, the early days of MIC. I posted photos of this before. I talked to Sean Mahaney, rest in peace, when he was on the podcast. You see the Ford full size. And that feature, it was on the cover. Wait, am I getting it mixed up? That was actually, I'm thinking of the Suburban. The Ford, I can't remember if that was MIC or not. I want to say it was with maybe hydraulics in the front or whatever. But I do remember that one was featured. I think it was in Truckin. The colors are very similar to the Suburban that has like the dually Suburban fenders, which is crazy. So anyways, you can see how my mind goes. I see a truck and I'm like, wait a minute. I told my buddy recently, I was like, I kind of wake up and I'm like, well, wait a minute. I read this feature and it talked about this truck was featured in this other magazine. And that's how my mind kind of tries to piece some of these stories together. Don't know why. That's just the way I am. The construction zone. So some epic trucks here. Extreme Lows. I got a chance to meet the founder of Extreme Lows. Love to get him on at some point and talk about the history. They don't get enough credit, I don't think, and they've been around 25. Obviously, this magazine's 96, and you can see their logo right there, in case you didn't know that they've been around that long. Aftermarket car steering wheel, and I had some memories come back. I do have some photos. I had a Grant steering wheel I installed. I remember the day I installed it. I had broke something, and I was so freaked out that I was going to, like, mess it up. But I had the billet steering wheel hub in my 94 S10, and at the end of the day, it was pretty simple. It's just in those early days, I had like no tools and hardly any knowledge. I would say I still don't have much knowledge. I've just read the magazines. In addition to an upscale SE package, the Nissan offers a in-dash disc auto changer. Dude, talk about Nissan Hardbodies on the rise. Vantastic, the ultimate attitude. So pretty cool. My buddy Paul and I mentioned him recently. We go back to middle school. He's done all the systems for me. He is more than an audiophile. He's building a crazy Suburban. He's on Instagram as Bring the Noise. I think it's like Bring the Noise. I've tagged him a couple times, but we talk about the epicness of Astros and the Safari vans, and one day I think he'll end up with one of these, man, because he just loves these things. And I like the front ends on them too, man. Being a mini trucker, you kind of have that grill vibe, that kind of billet grill vibe to these. I think that's the factory grill, of course, just painted. Here you saw a second ago, Wild Style, super clean Toyota. Choice Concepts, we've heard that name plenty of times. Haven't really dove into the legacy of it, but these door panels, I'd love to run a door panel like that on my truck, my 90 Mazda. Man, tweed, nice little speaker deal there, and pretty badass. Under Control, Jacobs Electronics shows off their revolutionary nitrous mastermind. Mini Truckin Diary, and Wyatt Rides Off in the Sunset. I read a lot of these back in the day. I want to kind of go back, and I'd love to be able to scan them. I got a couple ideas on what I could do there, but yeah, epic stuff. You got a hydraulic ad here. It's cool to see hydraulics. Still the thing. Tony Boss Bolin has hydraulics on his 68 Lincoln. And man, it is fun to ride in or cruise next to. Here you have Something Wicked This Way Comes. So the cover truck, I didn't mention the name. Tommy Mazda's back from the dead and healthier than ever. And it talks about in here, it talks about when it appeared in Truckin back in October 93. It was owned by Robin Cobb Ramirez. That tied into the name that I mentioned earlier. Cobbalicious, I believe, was the feature. Pretty cool here, Mini Truckin Magazine. Anybody know where this truck's at? Someone has told me when I posted it that it still drives around the Bakersfield area. I went out to Rezo for the December 10th back in the day. I think that was December. Can't remember if it was December 02 going into 03 or December 03. I think it was December 02. And I could have swore I saw this truck cruising around. But people have said that, I think someone sent me a photo many years ago of it cruising that had like stock wheels on it. Little, actually, like just steel wheels on it. But pretty epic truck. You can see, if you know the Cow Concept builds, you know these dash. And, you know, it's one of the little staples that they had. I do have video of this truck. Thanks to Steve Nielsen. I forget if I've ever launched it or released it. What I would tell you is, during the Cow Concepts open house, this truck was parked in the parking lot. And Steve, of course, was there that day, and he took video. I have a lot of cool video from that day, and I haven't released it all. Just trying to balance everything. But pretty epic truck. If you know these Cow Concept paint jobs, you know the stories that the murals will tell, and some of the awesome things that are tied in. You can see there, it looks like a little bit of carbon fiber with Cow Concepts. Weld wheels, so I talked about on the last flip through, Weld gets credit for, I think, 5 covers between Weld and Weld Racing, which I assume that they were the same brand. Here you see Kyle, Dion, and Craig wanted to do something with graphics on the truck's interior, so they constructed a new fiberglass door panel. Something wicked this way comes. Mentioned recently, the American Racing wheels. This wheel reminds me kind of that, and there were several, I think, that were similar in style to these wheels in that era. KMC, I think, had a wheel similar to this. I think of Chris Anders' Mazda that was on, it was featured, but it was on that epic Courtney photo shoot at Parker, Arizona. And he had I think it was a similar wheel to this. I know that because we put it on a shirt, and we have the metal signs available if they're not sold out at ourlifestylepodcast.com. The website may be down right now. It does take Mike and Shannon a few days, sometimes a week, to get back from the shows and to make sure that we have the inventory correct. We have to turn the website off when we go to shows, because if we sell too much of something online and then we sell it at the show, then you're negative inventory. So that's not good. Here you see the Chop Shop. I apologize. I still have not got a chance to link up with Gendro. That happens. That's one of the toughest things with podcasting, especially if you're dealing with different time zones. So hopefully I'll link up with him soon, and we'll be able to run that audio. The Last Laugh, super clean truck. Look at the wheels, very similar. Again, super popular in this era. This is a Weld wheel. You got the phone, the mobile phone, the car phone, whatever you want to call it. But look at Syndicate minis and compacts. Dude, I'd rock this thing all day. You got photography, Courtney and Sean Carlson. Always love when they did this. Up, down, all down. Pretty cool stuff. Kind of reminds me, in the old BMX magazines I used to have and read as a kid, they'd show the tricks, and it would have like the little film looking things on each side, and it would show like a trick through like 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 photos. And I'd read that shit over and over again going, man, I can't do this shit. Blazers, we've talked about so often how epic these things are. So much versatility, whether it was lowrider style or mini truck style, just straight fire. The buyer's guide, so this was a way to reinforce a bunch of different products and fill some space. So, if they were deficient potentially on some features, certainly the pages of the magazine would be taken up by one of these deals. Here you can see Beltec. And again, I'm looking at the poster I showed recently above. Beltec's all-new 96 full-line catalog. I used to get these catalogs, if they were free, sometimes even the $5 catalogs I'd send away, and I had them for a long time. Tim Davis hooked me up with the Colorado Custom one that I have. I went back, and I think that was the 97 or 98 catalog. I did a video on YouTube here, and I'd love to do more of that kind of stuff, but That's the one that housed Sal Marchese's full size that we did, Total Chaos. That is in that that Colorado Custom catalog. Of course, Courtney shot Sal's truck, and then it also went on, you know, it was basically shot for Truckin' cover. Afterthrought, so pretty cool truck. Toppers, all the rage during that time. Cool set of wheels. Can't tell if those are Welds or not. They're not. They're a different brand. One thing I was never necessarily a fan of is all the different kind of wire loom. I know that it holds its place in our kind of history, but you know, looking back on it, I mean, to me, actually, if I bought this truck and it was like that, I would leave it. I mean, it's era correct, but in that era, I always kind of liked the black, you know, the black wire loom instead of the color match stuff. Here's Rasberry Delight, David Hughes' first mini truck, Rasberry Delight. So when I went through this issue a long time ago, I kind of had to do a double take because I was like, wait a minute, is this? And then we recently saw Devin's in the Reader's Rides, which certainly he knows that was in there. But Devin, who has, quote, Mazberry Delight, the blue convertible Colorado custom laced truck, he's talking about coming to Minignats next year. So I would tell you guys, book a trip to Maggie Valley in April, okay? Whether you're a hardcore mini trucker or you're just a light enthusiast, I'm telling you, Minignats. A couple people went this year, and they're like, dude, I'm never missing this show again. We can stay in the mountains, we can get a cabin, we can hang out, we can go to the show, we can watch the cruise. I'm talking people that didn't even bring rides. They had the time of their life. And it's truly an amazing show. Shout out to Jason Bell and team. Southeast Mini Truckin Nats, also known as simply Minignats. I feel like I'm doing mini podcast episodes, but as you guys know, I love doing these flip-throughs. Isuzu, pups were all the rage in this era. The Mazda, of course, B2200, B2000, 26i. Really, possibly the baddest Mini of all time. Fan favorite, of course. Here's where I get some of the dates, too. I mean, this isn't a date that I necessarily would tie into, but pick up the July issue of Mini Truckin'. So July issue would have been on sale June 4th, 96, and that's how they just kind of planned everything out when they anticipated being on newsstands, grocery stores, blah, blah, blah. Mini Laughter. Top 5 pieces of furniture typically found in a large mini trucker's house, apartment, trailer, room. How many torsion bar adjusters does it take to get to the driveway of the chop shop? Notable quotables. What's in the CD changer? Easy E, straight off the mother effing streets. Of course, that was after Easy had passed, and that was his last album, which we could talk about that. There was going to be another album, and it just never manifested, and I think that's what they ended up with. Tribute. Pro Hopper, very cool ad. I always remember this S10, thinking, damn, dude, extended cab. If my truck was that low, I'd be good to go. My High 4x. So not a lot of mini trucks that were lifted. Dog's playing with the toys out there. This was an NC truck. I don't know if you guys picked up on the logo. That was pretty cool. Tech articles. Here is Stiff Competition. Joe Grieve shoots it. This was one of the famous trucks from Florida. I always get that mixed up. I think that was Bob from Mad Mods, or was that Seth? One of those two guys. I always get those two mixed up. 90 Mighty Max, Trophies for Days, Blazer with wires, Hydros, Reds, boom. You even have the Rodeo. Again, Joe Greaves doesn't get enough credit. I always hashtag his name, Joe Greaves, for stuff that that he shot, including my S10 chassis that ran in Mini Truckin' magazine. Which is right behind the scenes. Right there. That's the one that ran in Truck Trends, which is now CTM, Custom Trucks Mag. Okay, so this one, the cover, I have to be super careful with. It's kind of gets that little feel like it just wants to rip away. You guys know that feeling if you've had those magazines where you stack them and, you know, some of them weren't stapled perfectly from the printing process, and yeah. But Something Wicked This Way Comes. Amazing mini truck, apparently still around. Don't know who owns it. Epic paint, epic legacy as far as multiple paint jobs, Cal Concepts laced, of course, and just an epic issue, epic truck. Shout out to Sean Carlson, and Mike Chartists. All right, keep it posted. OLP, turn on that bell notification. Check out ourlifestylepodcast.com. Buy some merch. Show some love. We out you.